solution is right in front of our eyes. Get up, do something. Mhc on the rise. Think positive. Oh, we gotta stay positive. Yeah. We can learn to love each other. Like my sister and my brother. Mhc on the rise.
Good evening, Martinsville and Henry County. Welcome to Mhc On The Rise, where it's our goal to create a positive conversation and find solutions to the issues that impact Martinsville and Henry County. And it's Teacher Appreciation Week, and what better person to bring in than an exceptional teacher who is just doing great things at Magna Vista High School. And I can say that because my son has had her twice, and he constantly, commends her and how much she pushes him. But I'm going to let her introduce herself, and after that, we'll have a conversation about teaching, Teacher Appreciation Week, and the HCEA.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm Dorothy Carter, and I do teach at Magna Vista High School. I teach English 11 and AP Language and Composition. And I'm also fortunate enough to be the president of the Henry County Education Association.
And I think you can reverse that as well. The Henry County Education Association is fortunate to have you as president. I've read and seen some of the articles and some of your comments, and you do a great job of really, working to hold everybody accountable for their role in making sure that education is successful, for our youth. And we're going to talk about the HCEA later on, but want to start out just talk about teaching. Most people have a story about why they got into teaching. So what led you into teaching?
Well, I didn't come into teaching right away, I'll be honest. I went to college to do that, to become a teacher, and I ended up with the MRS degree and didn't finish. And, but I think my own children led me back into the teaching field. I went into business. I was self-employed for 22 years. But as my children started going to school, I was beginning to do things with them, and pretty soon I was substituting in the school. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't long before, it was probably about 10 years in, that I found myself substituting one year for 145 days out of the 180, and I said, oh, I need to finish my degree. And so I did go back and then taught for about 3 years in a private school and subbed for about 3 years and ended up here in Henry County, and I've been here for 17 years.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
So you definitely have a good story, and I'm sure you've had some great moments in education and, in the
Right.
classroom, and, it's always fun to have the different lessons, and, most teachers have that memorable lesson or that memorable day in the classroom. Mm-hmm. What is your most memorable experience in the classroom?
That's a tough question to answer. There are so many students that just really stick in my memory and in my heart. I think, though, a couple years ago, some of the things I like most to do, honestly, is work one-on-one with students who are struggling. Mm-hmm. And about 2 years ago, I was beginning to do remediation for the reading SOL. And I had gone to the grocery store after, and I heard this, "Hey, Mrs. Carter," clear across the store. And this young man came over, and I'll be honest, I didn't recognize him anymore because the guys change a lot more after high school than the girls do. And when he told me who he was, of course I remembered, and he was hugging me and thanking me for getting him through high school. And the story is incredible with him. He was a senior in my junior class for the third time.
Oh, wow. Not
the third time with me, but he got me for the third time. And he didn't like English. He hated it, and and I get it. They don't have to like it, but they have to take it. Absolutely. To graduate. And finally one day I said to him, it'll be, what he was good at was football. And one day I finally said to him, it'll be a shame that you have been on a really good football team and you're not going to march across the stage and graduate. And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, that was a terrible thing to say." And I said, "Yes, that is a terrible thing, I agree, but we may as well talk about it now as later."
That's right.
Well, I'm going to tell Mr. Minner. I said, "You do that." I said, "I'll let him know you're on the way." And to make a long story short, he had a good talk, and I give Mr. Minner a lot of credit. He came back and he worked that year. He finished my class with a B.
Awesome.
He passed his SOLs, and he did more than he thought he could. That was, to me, that's a story that I've seen over and over and over again with some of our kids who struggle. They don't understand what they can do, and then when they realize they can, that's exciting.
And I can, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about my son, but I know he had you as a freshman, and he was frustrated.
Yeah.
The work is too hard. It's too much. But he has you now as a junior, and he's like, man, I love Miss Carter.
Oh, really?
You know, because
I didn't know that.
Well, you know, you challenge him, but he knows that, you know, if you give him work, it's meaningful, it's purposeful, and it's going to push him. And you know, I interviewed some students, and one of the students made some comments about, you know, this one particular teacher, you know, who if he turns in papers, you know, she's going to read every single word of it. She's going to grade it and score it, and you know, and he appreciated that because if he spent the time doing the work, surely he wanted somebody to make sure they read every word of it. So what I can say is that I know that the students appreciate you, and you know, they really appreciate you know, the expectation that you have for all of your students. You know, not some, but all of your students, and which is like a lot of, you know, most teachers across the country. You know, we don't get that message,
right,
you know, because of the media or whatever. But you know, most teachers have that high expectations of their students, and teachers get frustrated. You know, and it's easy to get frustrated because every time you hear something about education, I mean, we didn't get enough money, or scores are not here, or scores are not there.
Right.
What do you do to stay motivated, and what would you tell the teachers of Martinsville and Henry County to do to stay motivated?
I would say when you reach that point where you think you just can't go another minute, and we do all reach those points, go back and remember those students that made a difference. Go back and look at, I have a feeling most teachers keep those little notes that students write them. Go back and read some of those notes. There's nothing like doing that to motivate and to keep you going and to keep, remember that student that nobody else thought could succeed and did, you know, because of what you put into that student. That's what I would encourage them to do, because for every student out there, there's at least one teacher who can reach them. Not all of us will reach every child, but there is somebody for every child, and each of us have the capacity to reach those kids that are tough.
Absolutely, and that's some you know, great advice. And I remember going through a workshop one time, and the guy was asking us, you know, why did we get into our profession? And sometimes when you think back to why you got into it, you know, it helps you to forget about all of the other stuff that you hear that's going on, and you remember that, hey, I'm in this so that I can educate students and I can work with young folk, and that gives you that, you know, fire to keep going on. Teacher Appreciation Week, you know, it's a great week, special week.
It is.
Teachers will receive lots of things. How can parents, the community, you know, students, and even teachers amongst themselves, you know, how can they show appreciation to, you know, the teachers of Martinsville, Henry County?
You know, I think a lot of times we try to think of what can I get the teacher, what can I do, but the thing that probably means the most to any teacher is write a note. Be specific about what you appreciate about that person, because many times they don't know. They really don't know. I had the privilege of being honored last week at the Academic Awards, and honestly I was so surprised when I realized who the student was that was, because that student was so talented. It really wasn't, I don't think, anything that I ever did that made a difference. I really think it was her mother instilling. But that still meant a lot to me to know the specific things. And she wrote me the most beautiful note, and she wrote me one earlier in the year too. I've kept them both. Teachers keep those things. You know, we have a little treasure chest of the notes that people give us that are really so much nicer than the gifts.
Awesome, and that's what, you know, we ask the, you know, parents, the community, get out and, you know, show our teachers and educators how much we love them for what they do and the sacrifices they make, the commitment that they make to educate, you know, the youth. And not just that, but they do it in the midst of a storm, you know, in the midst of all the criticism, but they still show up every day prepared, and lesson plans, and, you know, making sure the kids, you know, make the grades, making sure kids graduate, making sure kids go from kindergarten to first grade. So it's a lot that teachers do, but I'm not going to, you know, get into that too much. But who are some of the teachers who either still motivate you or have motivated you or inspired you in the past?
You know, I think of two teachers in my past that really motivated me. One was my 7th grade English teacher. I don't know why. I still don't know why. I just know she was just the sweetest thing, and all at once I understood grammar like I'd never understood it before. And I always liked to read, so that was never a problem, but she helped us to understand deeper depths. When I was a junior in high school, and I'm going to tell you, I really do understand where kids come from sometimes, because I am the only one of 7 children who has a college education. I have great parents, but for them it was enough if we graduated from high school. And so, you know, I understood that. So it was okay if I had a C. That was no big deal. It didn't matter if I was capable of more. But I had an English teacher as a junior who I was afraid not to do my homework. I could not do homework in other classes and still have a C. Yeah. But I couldn't do that in Brian Stoller's class. And he really instilled a work ethic in me that I needed an academic work ethic. And I appreciate what he did. Brian inspired many of us. There is now some of the people in my graduating class put a Facebook page to his memory. He just brought the best out in each of us. And I've always wanted to be that same kind of a teacher.
And you're headed in that direction, and I know that one day you're going to have all these letters and kids responding and telling you, you know, how wonderful, which you're getting some of that now, but
Yeah,
you know, a lot of kids go
fortunate.
off to college, and once they get
They
through
do.
college and realize that, man, you know, my English teacher in high school really prepared me, you know, you'll start getting more of those notes. But we're going to take a break, and I know you have a passion for education.
I do.
But, you know, your passion also is making sure that educators are treated fairly, and that's why you became president of the HCEA, and we're going to talk about that and some of the things that you all are doing with the HCA when we come back.
The solution is right in front of our eyes. Get up, do something. MHC on the rise. Think positive. Oh, we gotta stay positive. Yeah, yeah. We can learn to love each other. Like my sister and my brother. MHC on the rise.
Jim Mills Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is proud to announce the new arrivals for 2015. Jeep lovers will be impressed with the new Jeep Renegade look and style. The all-new Dodge Challenger and Dodge Charger are redesigned with sleek lines and luxury. The new Ram Rebel offers an off-road experience. It's an exciting year to buy at Jim Mills Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Visit us across from the Martinsville Speedway or visit us online at jimmillscdjr.com.
How's that 4G LTE? Hold on. You sure you got service? Yeah, I've got US Cellular. Okay, here it is. Pretend you retreat.
US Cellular built coverage way out here, so you can search the web in a pinch.
I can't believe the tree thing worked.
4G LTE towers where you don't expect it. US Cellular.
Come visit one of our locations at 301 Liberty Street in Martinsville and 324 TV Stanley Highway in Bassett. Also with locations in Eden and Reedsville.
You're watching BTW 21, your neighborhood network, the pride of Martinsville.
Here at Henry County Adult Learning Center, we can help you achieve your GED and make your family proud.
My family, they were so proud of me. My wife, my mom, and all my sisters, they were very excited for me.
They told me I had more family members there than anybody, which was my children. I have a daughter and 2 sons. Their children, my daughter from Harrisonburg, my sister, my friends from church. I really felt great.
Give us a call here at the Adult Learning Center, 276-638-1668. I look forward to hearing from you.
I would say to other people, come out, do the work, enroll, do the work, and the people here are so great, will help you achieve anything. You can do it. I was encouraged by the teachers, the staff. It was wonderful. Do the work. That's all you gotta do.
Welcome to the Pacific Bay, where we pride ourselves in fresh seafood like scallops, crab legs, tilapia, and other healthy choices. We also pride ourselves in fresh meat, like the prime rib, ribeye steaks, beef tips, steak salad, and other healthy choices. Come down and see us at the Pacific Bay Steak and Seafood Restaurant. Call-ins are welcome. The number is 276-647-8217.
Are you looking for a quality and trustworthy jewelry repair service? Well, look no further. Eggleston's Jewelry Repair has been serving the Martinsville-Henry County area for nearly 22 years. We specialize in ring sizing, chain repair, stone settings, engraving, watch batteries, and band repair. Eggleston's Jewelry Repair also wants to buy your unwanted, broken, and outdated 10-carat and 14-carat scrap gold jewelry. Eggleston's Jewelry Repair. Come and see us.
The solution is right in front of our eyes. Get up, do something. MHC on the rise. Think positive. Oh, we gotta stay positive. Yeah. We can learn to love each other. Like my sister and my brother. MHC on the rise.
Welcome back, Martinsville and Henry County. I'm here with Miss Dorothy Carter, English teacher at Magna Vista High School, HCEA president and teacher extraordinaire, and you know the list goes on and on and on. But we're going to talk some about the HCEA, and you know when you teach, you really have to commit a lot of time to planning and grading papers and other meetings and things you have to take part in. So when you become the HCEA president, you have to really want to be the president, because this is another job in itself. You know, so tell us, one, I guess, what led you there, and then what are the goals of the HCEA?
Well, without giving the whole story, what led me there was I was a happy teacher for 8 years at Henry County Public Schools, and I was an HCEA member, but I never saw myself getting very involved. Because I knew it was a political thing, and I saw HCEA as the thing that was going to protect me if I had a parent problem someday. Okay. And then I learned that that's usually not what really happens. Something else happened. I thought if I came to school every day and I did the best job I could do, that was all anyone could ask of me, and that would be it. And one day something just horrible happened, I thought, and I didn't talk about it for about a month. And when I finally was able to talk to one colleague about what was going on, I found out the story was true for many. And that bothered me, because when teachers feel that they're under attack, they cannot do a good job. And that bothers our kids. That's not good for our kids. That hurts their education. And so at that point, that's when I knew that I had to change. I couldn't just do my lesson plans and grade the papers and teach the kids every day. I had to do more. I also, not being from this area, I realized that there was, it was a different culture. And there's sometimes still a culture of fear where people were afraid to speak up. And that troubled me a lot, because this is America. And if something isn't right, it is our job as Americans to make it right.
Absolutely.
And I feel very passionately about that. I feel that it's okay to, you know, there are ways to approach problems and ways not to, of course, but there are things we can do. And so as I began talking to members and talking to non-members, and we decided to just set out and do something else. There were other people who were president then. In fact, we had I called it a triumvirate. We had three. We had three co-presidents. And I didn't know much about the association, but they asked me to be a building rep, and I kept saying, oh, I don't know, I can't do that. And finally I realized Barbara Chavis was retiring, and I kept saying, Barbara, who's going to replace you in our building? What are we going to do without you? She'd say, I don't know, but I'm retiring anyway.
That's Barbara Chavis.
That was Barbara, bless her heart. She really influenced me a great deal. Finally one day I said, okay, I'll do it. And I've never looked back. Awesome. I have never looked back. I started going to the rep meetings, which are once a month, and that's something that would be expected if you're a building rep. we meet together to talk about things that affect whole county and strategies and ways that things we can do to improve situations for teachers and students. They nominated me from the floor one day to be president. And I guess I've been president ever since. So our goal, our motto is promoting professionalism.
Okay.
And that's really our goal. We want to see teachers be as good as they can be. Because when we're as good as we can be, then that's going to ripple over into the students. And that's going to help our students in Henry County realize, I can be the best I can be. I can be the innovator that goes out and starts a new business. I can be the person who makes a difference in Henry County. I don't have to move away from Henry County once I have an education. I can stay here and I can make this area successful. That's what we want. Okay. Of course, if that's what the kids want is to move away, that's okay too. But we want those kids to be the best they can be. We can't do that if we're not the best we can be.
And you work to influence and make sure that the resources that teachers need are available.
Yes.
Yes, and that's good. And I've, like I say, read several articles and seen you in action, and like you said, you don't mind speaking up, and that's okay because you do it in a diplomatic, professional manner, and that's what we're supposed to be able to do.
Right.
And I want to make sure we talk about this because this is, like I say, Teacher Appreciation Week, but tomorrow I know you're asking everybody, and not just teachers, but I'll let you talk about it. So
we're asking everybody tomorrow to wear red for public ed, and we're not. And you're right, not just teachers, everybody. This is part of the Put Kids First rally. We went April 18th to Richmond to demonstrate, and that didn't mean that we were wild and crazy. It meant that we marched from the convention center down to the Capitol grounds, and we listened to many good speakers that day. We listened to a young man just 11 years old from a Blue Ribbon School in Fairfax speak to us. He spoke to us twice and challenged our hearts. I said, that little boy is going to be president someday. He was 11 years old. But the thing we want people to understand is we want people to understand that our schools are underfunded, not just in this area, but all across the state. We are right now receiving 16% less with inflation included than we were receiving in 2009. Now this is 2015, this is 6 years, and we're receiving less. And what that means is, even though gas prices are going up, food is going up, the biggest part of a school budget is salary. And so what that's meant in many areas across the state, many teachers have not seen raises for 6 and 7 years. Or some areas did see the 2% last year, but it didn't even make up. Some localities have made deals with their health insurance and ended up losing. Many teachers across the state have ended up losing. As you know, I've spoke about how we've lost in this area. We're taking home probably $60 to $80 a month less on an average than we did a couple of years ago. Because of the underfunding, our class sizes have grown larger. That's one of the ways that schools have been able to compensate for that. When you only have so much money, then you can only hire so many teachers. We're over-testing our students, and we test them so much that we can't even do the fun, creative things. We can only do the things that we're teaching to the test. And that's really sad. And that's one of the things I know Dr. Cotton has really been working with, is to help us get back that creativeness, the critical thinking.
Absolutely.
We're also looking at the fact that early childhood education is a real need. It's not a daycare. It's interesting to me that the state will fund daycares that don't necessarily teach children, and yet there is not enough funding for early childhood education. Where children are really getting an education. So there are a lot of things we can do, and we're asking people to wear red tomorrow to bring attention to our legislators, to our communities, that our schools need and deserve more. Our kids need and deserve more. We will not take care of our economic issues until the children get what they need.
And this is one of those nights where I wish we had an hour-long show because I know that, we could get on into the politics and how the ACA, works to, influence politics and not just influence, but, hold our local elected leaders accountable. But we only have about, a minute and a half.
Okay.
So is there anything that we didn't talk about tonight that you definitely want to make sure we share with the educators or the community of Martinsville, Henry County?
Right. Well, I would want people to know that HCEA is part of the VEA, the NEA. We're not a subversive group. We are teachers who want what is best for your children. We want to work together with our school community. We want to work together with our parent community. It's a goal for us not to be subversive, but to work together for the good of our children.
And my last question. Why is Dorothy Carter a big deal? 15 seconds. Put you on the spot. I didn't tell you I was going to ask that question.
Well, frankly, I'm not so sure that I am a big deal. I just care about our kids. Mm-hmm. And anybody who cares about our kids, they're a big deal.
Absolutely.
Because our kids deserve the best.
And I appreciate you caring about Caleb Jordan Dillard.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Because you have made that young fella a much better student. And I appreciate you coming on and talking about your teaching career and the HCEA and giving some words of advice to our teachers. And happy Teacher Appreciation Week to you. And hopefully you'll get all of the wonderful notes and gifts and prizes. And at the end of the week, you'll be motivated to finish these last 3 weeks of school.
Thank you.
Martinsville, Henry County. There you have it from Ms. Dorothy Carter. Join me next week when we have Chief Sean Dunn of the Martinsville City Police Department. Have a great week.
The solution is right in front of our eyes. Get up, do something. MHC on the rise. Think positive. Oh, we gotta stay positive. Yeah. We can learn to love each other. Like my sister and my brother. Mhc on the rise.
The road of life is full of emergencies. From bicycle accidents to car accidents, little ones and big ones. From broken fingers to broken hearts. So at Memorial Hospital, we're building the most comprehensive and efficient ER in the region, making sure you get in, get out, and get back home safe and sound. Building a stronger community, building a better ER. The Emergency Center at Memorial Hospital of Martinsville and Henry County.
Jim Mills Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is proud to announce the new arrivals for 2015. Jeep lovers will be impressed with the new Jeep Renegade look and style. The all-new Dodge Challenger and Dodge Charger are redesigned with sleek lines and luxury. The new Ram Rebel offers an off-road experience. It's an exciting year to buy at Jim Mills Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Visit us across from the Martinsville Speedway or visit us online at jimmillscdjr.com. Haley's Vac with over 100 models in stock, but not just vacuums. Shampooers, mops, steamers, air purifiers, infrared heaters, commercial vacs, parts, supplies, repairs on site, and backroom bargains.
The new Haley's Vac with over 100 models of vacuums in stock now. Home of the Simplicity Freedom, only 7.5 pounds, made in USA. Home of the Lamp Berger, Paris.
You're watching BTW 21, your neighborhood network, the pride of Martinsville.
Loan specialist. Usually that's someone who fights for your signature, then sells your loan to Never Never Land, never to speak with you again. At Martinsville First Savings Bank, we don't sell our loans, and we're locally owned and operated, so all decisions are made at 25 West Church Street in Uptown Martinsville. We've been serving the South Side since 1924. Proof that serving you remains our focus. For more information, call 276-638-8771 or visit martinsvillefirst.com. FDIC insured, equal housing.
Dr. David Jones, Dr. Nicole Deschamps, the Invisalign specialist, now offering state-of-the-art traditional and clear braces, offering Invisalign with no impressions. Come meet the scanner. No impressions. We scan your teeth. For an appointment, call 638-8888.